Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1974. We're going to be taking a look at Ike and Tina Turner and they're going to be performing Proud Mary. And I will be jumping into this halfway through, so the link to this is going to be in the description below if you want to watch the video the whole way through, because there are two distinct sections here going from the slow tempo version into the up-tempo version that these guys perform so well. But let's get them up on screen and see how they get on.
Every now and then I kind of like to do things nice and easy. But I guess you're thinking by now that there's just one thing, and that is that we never ever do nothing nice and easy. Well, now you see, it's because we like to do it nice and rough. We're going to take the beginning of this song and we're going to do it easy. But then we're going to do the finish rough. This is the way we do Proud Mary. Say we rolling, rolling, rolling on the river. I left a good job down in the city. I was working for my man every night and day. I never lost 1 minute of sleeping, 'cause I was worried about the way that things might have been.
You know that
big wheel keep on turning. Proud Mary keep on burning. We're rolling,
rolling,
rolling, yeah.
rolling.
Said we're rolling on the river. Cleaned a lot of plates in Memphis.
And
Pumped a lot of chain down in New Orleans. But I never got to see no good side of the city until I hits the ride on the riverboat queen. Know that the big wheel keep on turning. Turning the Proud Mary. She keep on burning, y'all. Rolling,
rolling,
rolling, yeah.
rolling,
And we're rolling on a river.
rolling on the
I'm just going to jump in here. One thing that I do want to mention is that in this video, I'm mostly going to be focusing on Tina Turner out the front of the stage and analysing her voice, but also her performance overall. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is the way that Tina Turner smiles in her singing in order to get her tone. And this is something that when you're watching this particular performance, and any performance of Tina's, but especially here, rewind it back to the beginning and see her facial expressions when she's singing the verse, because as soon as she starts singing, she has this smile. It's something that a lot of singers, vocal teachers will show you how to set up your resonance by smiling into the sound to try and get it in your eyes, on your eyebrows, in terms of the resonance. That's where you want that sound to happen. And it's exactly what we've got here with Tina, but people watching it will just think that she's smiling and then suddenly changing her expression. It certainly does help that Tina looks like she's smiling when she's singing, because that draws you in. I am going to be calling Tina Tina in this video, even though she was born Anna and her friends called her Anne. And then Ike came up with the name Tina Turner. He was thinking of Sheena of the Jungle for the first name, and Sheena and Tina rhymed, sounded the same, so he went for that. But also the Turner part of the name is trademarked, so it meant that if Ike was in the situation where Tina Turner left, he could get another female vocalist in and call her Tina Turner, so he wouldn't have to change the name of the act. This is getting towards the mid-70s, so 1974 here, which is, you can really tell in this video, where Tina started to take on that solo artist persona and direction and was more in demand as a solo artist, especially the mid to late 70s. They split up in 1976 and Their divorce was finalized in 1978, so this was just before that period. But she's got such a strong vocal and a unique vocal quality to her voice because of the way that she's got that rasp in there all the time. And this isn't something that Tina is trying to put onto her voice as an afterthought. It's just naturally there, because if it wasn't, it sounds like she would just kill her throat because of the amount of rasp that she does manage to maintain throughout all of these performances on all of her live shows, all of her tours. If she was faking that rasp and doing it in an unhealthy way, her voice just wouldn't last, whereas she is always vocally on song live. The other quality that Tina has in her voice is the ability to keep the tone consistent throughout her range, and when she does start to lean into the sound, get a little bit of that rasp, she connects her vocal cords even more tightly the higher she goes, therefore using less air, which is exactly what you're aiming for. And when she does use the lower parts of her range, you can hear when she does add a little bit more air into that sound, to the point where when she is saying yeah and oh yeah in this performance, listen out for it, because you can hear the more air that is being used in those vocal phrases. But as soon as she gets up to the top end of her range and she starts belting it out, there's no air in that sound. It's just pure vocal cord connection. So a massive part of live shows with Tina Turner was the showmanship side of things. And also, I mention on this channel all the time about all the top artists and bands have three things in common, and those are always great songs, great technical ability, whether playing an instrument or using your vocal cords, and lastly, being able to put on a show and be entertaining. And that's certainly what Tina Turner can do, because she definitely puts on a show, which we will be seeing later. So in this performance, we do have some serious light and shade. I have run it forward by about 25 seconds so that we can get into this dramatic tempo change that we go through, and also have a listen to Tina's voice where she puts her foot to the floor and really opens up the taps vocally. But let's get back into this.
2, 3, 4. City, working for my man every night and day. I never lost 1 minute of sleep, worrying about the way things might have been. The big wheel keep on turning, and the brown mirror keep on burning out. Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river. Rolling, rolling, just rolling on a river. We're gonna roll on. Listen, if you come down to the river, I bet you're gonna find some people who live. So you don't have to worry if you got no money, 'cause the people on the river are happy to give. No, 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 the big wheel keep on turning, and the primary says she keep on running, rolling.
And there we have it. The thing about Tina Turner live is that she's a force of nature in terms of watching her performance and her confidence and the amount that she rolls into a live performance, not only vocally but all of the choreography that is happening. And this kind of thing was so early in its development. Tina Turner was one of those that would put on such a show live in terms of having dance routines and things that we take for granted now, especially in mainstream pop. It's just something that is always there. But Tina Turner being able to roll in that entertainment element with a top quality vocal was such an interesting thing to do, because you're starting to get quality from so many different aspects and so many different angles of the performance, because sometimes you might have a great vocalist who just stands there, doesn't really do anything, or you have a really entertaining performer who isn't very good at singing. But rolling it all into one, no pun intended, is exactly what Tina did, and she set the bar. Also, having the full band setup, that's another thing that Tina Turner always had live, even after Ike, well into the 80s, 90s, and around 2000, I know that she did retire for a few years, but then came back for the 50th anniversary. She certainly was a perfectionist in every single element of her live performances, not only getting her vocals spot on, which she always did, but getting the choreography spot on as well, making sure the band are getting everything as it should be. And that brings up an interesting point about this performance, because the dancer on the far left here does 18 squats in a row, so it's quite a good workout that she goes through. But the other three are doing a separate routine, and I don't know if that was previously planned, or if it wasn't, I'm sure Tina had a word with her afterwards. The other thing is this version of the song, because it's something that Tina is now known for and was known for with her live shows. People would be waiting to hear this because of this version, and the arrangement is something that is so rare that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes artists take on a great song and they can't do justice to that original, or they change it too much and lose some of the feeling from that original. Whereas Tina, with this version of the song, her vocal added so much to it. The arrangement here, playing it at this tempo is spot on as well for the choreography. So there are so many new elements to this John Fogerty track that have been injected into it to take it to a totally different place, but still keep the original melody in there and the original quality of that composition. There is always something going on musically with hooks or with a horn section that come in here in order to keep your attention the whole time whilst you're watching the choreography. Because if everything just went a bit flat and there weren't any hooks in there, it would lose the impact and the dancing would just look like biding your time, whereas the dancing is something that is supposed to keep you entertained and interested. And that's exactly what we have musically going on in the background at the same time. Another thing to factor in with singers that do a lot of choreography is the breath control, because when you're running around on stage or you're doing a dance routine, not that I know about dance routines, but I certainly know about covering some distance on stage, you have to manage your breathing. You cannot get up to the microphone and then be out of breath and struggle to sing those vocal phrases. So it's a whole nother side to singing and breath control and breath management. She's using a lot of support in order to add all of this compression to her sound and get the drama, get that effect of having that high vocal range in chest voice to put across that emotion. So all of these things that she's managing that will fly under the radar, and a lot of people spend so much time trying to sing like somebody else. But singers like Tina weren't trying to sound raspy when they were singing. It just happened because that was the way her voice worked. I also mentioned sometimes about the range that a singer has and being able to take that lead vocal up an octave pitch-wise in order to get a really dramatic effect, and we certainly have that here. I think Tina ends up at around D5 if you want to find that on your keyboards, but we start an octave lower than that, and she's covering more than an octave in this performance. The way that Tina sings in her lower register, it's almost as if the rasp in her voice is percentage based with her range. So we start low down, an octave below D5. There'll be a hint of rasp to her voice, but that rasp is at maybe 25%. It's in there because that is her vocal quality and tone that she has naturally. So by the time she puts her foot on the accelerator, it is like a roaring engine because she's getting up into 5th, 6th, and 7th gear. And the rasp is now at a higher percentage with that compression at the top end of her chest voice. So you get such a dramatic change compared to when you take maybe a clean tone higher and higher and higher, but it stays clean. You don't really get that grit and that edge and that attitude that you do with Tina's voice. And that's something that sets her apart vocally, that naturally she can produce that rasp where other people would struggle. And that's why Tina's voice works so well with rock songs. And this being a great example of that, Tina is always going to put on an amazing vocal performance, but an amazing choreographed performance and an entertaining show in all. And this is why when she played in Brazil in 1988, she set a new record for the largest attendance for a female artist, and it was 180,000 people that turned up to watch her. But it's great to have a look back at Ike and Tina putting on a show worthy of a stadium for the Midnight Special TV show, and a lot of that is to do with Tina, her natural ability to entertain, but also her vocal ability and all of that choreography that she throws in as well, just really putting on a show. And she really did raise the bar for any other female artist around. I'm probably going to do another video on Tina because I haven't had a chance to cover Ike and Tina Turner and what they did in the 60s and the early 70s, so I'll probably do another video soon. But thank you guys so much for suggesting this video for me to take a look at, and keep those suggestions coming in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!